Welcome back to Hammond's Upholstery. This week we're going to be looking pretty much at just one item. We'll go through this entirely with you. A lady approached me asking me if I could do a repair on the seat of her Parker Knoll wing chair that she's recently had recovered by another local, I hesitate to say, professional upholsterer. I asked her over the phone why she's not approached them, and she said no, she doesn't want to go back to them because of the quality of what she received and the service. So let me just emphasise again, I'm critiquing what I see. It doesn't mean to say what I say is gospel, but from my professional opinion, 35 years been doing this, looking at what this customer has received from a professional upholsterer that has charged them the same amount of money that I would have charged her incidentally. So it's not like she went to Marketplace and was driven by price. She was not. She was recommended these people by the person she bought the fabric off of. So obviously she's not happy with it. She's not prepared to go back to them. I don't know if she has asked them or whatever, but I didn't like to. But the furniture has ended up with us to rectify the repair. We've been asked to repair the seat, replace the cushion fill. She believed that it had a new cushion fill in it, but she's not happy with it, so we'll get to that in a minute. And see if we can do something with the seat, because once again, she believed that the tension springs were going to be replaced in it, and they quite clearly haven't been, amongst other things. So I'm going to spin you around and we'll just go through this chair together and see what we find. I have had a quick look, obviously, but you can join me and you can see what you think. Bearing in mind, the customer did not go to this person because of price. She was recommended them, and she was charged pretty much what I would have charged her to do it anyway. So buyer beware. Not everybody is what they claim they are. So here we go, let's have a look. All right, so here we have it. Initially, you know, in the pictures, even initially it doesn't look good, but you know, I try to be kind here. It's a recover of a Parker Knoll, so it's not been instructed to replace the filling or anything like that, the upholsterer, but the customer believed that she was going to remove the original cover and recover it, replacing the seat and doing any remedial work as necessary. So let's have a look and see what we can find here. Initially, I'm looking at it and I can see the lines, the lumps and bumps on the inside wings. The cushion, the stitching isn't great. Looking at the legs, we can see strip nails around these legs here, and even that has not been done particularly well. This pleat, in my opinion, should be on the front edge, not on the side here. It's almost like it's a pocket that you could put your TV remote into. And just glancing up here at the screen, you can see the poor quality of this stitching on this cushion. I would say that this fill has definitely not been replaced, looking at this. So let's have a quick look at what else. So let's start with the arms. The right hand arm, not too bad. The welt or the salvage here is in the wrong position. It creates this lump, this odd shape, but in no way is a comparison. If we go across to the left arm, is it as bad as this arm? Looking at it here, the welt's not the right way round, the arm's not been sewn up properly to start with, and there you go, that's shocking. And let's have a look at this other leg here again. pleats on the wrong place, in my opinion. The nailing is very poor. I've just noticed that a nail's come out of this side here. Around here we can see all this fraying fabric. Catch my finger on a staple here that's bent over. Fabric doesn't even go right the way underneath here. She's just cut it off and frayed it. Got these voids here in the arms. Again, stitching on this cushion. The outside wing. That is very poor, isn't it? Look at it, the stitching. It's not like I'm zooming in. This is obvious stuff. You can spot this stuff a mile off. Look at the state of this here. She's just stapled the outside arm to the underside of the arm here, fraying here. The staples. Let's have a look at the inside wings. All these lumps and bumps and voids here. Stitching, look at this, the fabric's fraying here. I'm not having to delve deeply. I completely understand. I've been in trade long enough and I understand that it's easy to pick faults in other people's work. But she's just made this easy to pick faults. There's a void in the back here. This fabric's just floating. You can almost hear that. It's hollow here. The outside wing, you can pretty much count the staples. She's just stapled this from the face side on. This wing has been stitched together. Piping's not been stitched very tightly. We've got multiple pleats around here. Okay, you'd expect to see maybe I'd put a couple of pleats in, but this needed to be closer to the edge, the piping, and then you would have lost that. You can see how lumpy and bumpy it all the way down here is, because, well, I'm not even sure what she's attempted to do here. State of that. This is a local that I know claims to be a professional upholsterer. This outside wing's no better. We've got one big pleat on this side. I've no doubt I'm going to find exactly the same on the underside of this arm as did on the other one. Yeah, just folded back. Even from my point of view, this person claims to be a professional. Even, it might sound a bit odd, the quality of how they're stapling stuff. There's no pride in it at all. There's no neatness in it. There's no fault in it. You're just pulling the nails out. We've got this here. And this is the cushion. Let's see what's underneath the cushion. Now the customer, what we've been instructed to do is try and rectify the seat. And here we have the seat. Now these are the original, look at this, the fabric here, it's not even a straight line or overlocked. Let's see the quality of the stitching. The stitching, yeah, has come apart on this end. These are the original tension springs, side-to-side springs, so she's obviously not replaced them. You can see how distorted that one is. So we've got to replace these tension springs and try and reuse this seat. The more I look at it, the more I think it's going to be a very difficult task to try and salvage this seat for the customer. We can't, she doesn't have the fabric I'm looking at the fabric. I think I recognise it. I think it's a Prestigious Textiles fabric. It may be still available. I might have to buy a metre to try and do something about it. There's voids here in the facings. There's just absolutely no pride taken in their work. And like I said, this person has charged them the same as what I would have charged them. And I'm sure you can, if you've watched any of my videos, you'll see that we're not here to produce rubbish. So let's have a quick look at the seat cushion, see what's gone on here. Bearing in mind it was supposed to be a new fill, but just looking at it on the cutting table here, I can tell you that's not had the fill replaced. So let me put the camera up and we'll hook. Right, initially we're going to start by removing the bottom cloth because we need to unpick the seat fabric from the front edge. Park and Olds generally didn't have bottom cloths on them. Everything was folded over along this bottom rail, folded back on itself and then nailed or stapled. So in this case, she's not done that. She's just put a bottom cloth on it, which isn't terrible. She's not put it on very well. Stapling's quite erratic. I personally would expect a better finish in the stapling, even from an apprentice. And this is supposedly a professional. Anyway. Let's see how we're doing. Alright, so yeah, she's obviously just stapled everything under. And you can see there the original cover. So I would suggest she's not removed the original cover at all from this, just gone over it, hence the reason how she's finished the outside arms, etc. Sorry, I say she, but I do know it's a she that did this. Like I say, I'm aware of who did the upholstery on this. So just continue to unpick this. See what other things we find in here. It does look a bit scruffy under here. She's not cut any salvage off or anything like that. She's just stapled it off, and like I say, she's not even removed the original cover from the job. She's just gone over everything and stuffed it full of felt or Lux Bond, certainly on the inside wings. Hasn't even removed all the existing bottom cloth that was on here. We will soon discover whether this is a genuine Parker Knoll anyway. Not that that makes any difference to the quality. I believe it's a genuine Parker Knoll because the webbing retainers have got the Parker Knoll logos printed on them. But on the underside of a Parker Knoll frame, you'll normally find a maker's mark on the seat rails, which we have here. Well, there you go. So it is a genuine park and roll. It's a model 720. It's got the maker's mark on both sides. Yeah. So she's not even removed any of the existing fabric. You can see the existing fabric, a fleur-de-lis in a damask style fabric. So like I say, the customer was charged. I'm privy to what the customer was charged. She was quite happy to tell me, but I wouldn't have charged the customer any more or much more than what she was charged by this person. So let's continue with this. So this is a piece of fly that the upholsterer has used to create a edge or a seat edge roll on the front of this job. So I'm going to carefully try and take this off because we've got to put this back. If she was going to put a bottom cloth on this, I would have put a full seat in the job over the replacement tension springs, or possibly even replace the tension springs for zigzags front to back if the customer was not too concerned about retaining the originality of the chair. But this upholsterer is not even taken that into account, I don't think. She's just done it the cheapest way she possibly could. Right, so now I've got to be careful about unpicking the seat because we don't want to make this any worse than what it is, because I've got to put it back on, albeit I'll be going on tighter. I've still got to use the original or the fabric that she's used. I could just tell by the orientation of the staples that she's put in that would create what we would have termed as tack ties back in the day in the seat, which is lumps and bumps to general public. So even the orientation of the staples can affect that, but she's just put them, in my opinion, the wrong way round. So this is where a lot of time is spent on your reupholstery, is getting back to a place we can start from. And there's certainly no quicker way of doing it if you've got to salvage the original fabrics. We've got to be careful. So we can see the original fabric again here. I will unpick the original fabric because we will be taking that off. I certainly won't be going over the top of that because I'm replacing the tension springs that should have been replaced. So you can see the tension springs. They go from left to right. Normally you see zigzag springs going front to back, but these tension springs go side to side, and they're attached by being hooked onto this nylon web with rings in it. Pretty durable. I'm not a huge fan of these tension springs because you can't get a lot of tension in them, but they are what they are, and they were how that they were done by this particular company. So we've recreate them and replace those tension springs. The webbing or the nylon webbing that the spring's attached to on the side seems to be good. It can break down and the rings get worn and pull through the nylon webbing, but that all looks okay, so that's a plus side. So I'm just going to release this front edge of this seat now of the original fabric. It may not even be the original because it has got Lux Bond underneath it, and Parker Knowles originally wouldn't have used a polyester wadding on their jobs. So this has been reupholstered previously as well, but we're going to remove that. And the orientation on these staples, whoever did it that time, at least got the staples in the right direction, and looking at it, it was done properly the time before last when it was upholstered. So we'll get this out and I'll show you the tension springs once I've unpicked this and tried to salvage the top cover the best I can. So now we're getting into the original cover, or where it's been reupholstered before. So she has put a bit of felt in the front edge, but she's literally just gone over the original seat, which I'm going to have to take out because the springs need replacing anyway, but that would be perfectly normal if you're replacing the springs. This bit is the original cover, and so is this here on this front edge. So I'll stand it up in a second, you can see. I'll try and peel back the layers and explain to you what we've got here. So, tension springs, side to side, go along this front edge here onto the nylon web. Then they would have put this lining cloth over, then the seat comes on like so. That's the original seat. Now, the person that upholstered it this time has left all the original cover on, and the original tension springs, which she was instructed to replace as far as I'm aware, or according to the customer. So she would have had to take this off to then put the cover, but no, she's not done that. She's just gone over the top of it and not replaced the springs. So you can see that here. So we're going to have to take it back to this. We'll clean all these staples off, and then we can look at taking these tension springs out to replace them. So let me finish ripping this seat out, and we'll be back to you when we're taking the tension springs out and replacing them. So the replacement springs are in, tension springs from side to side are in it. So I'm just going to cut a piece of recon here to put along here. I've got a bit of remnant, so I'm just going to cut that and staple it along here. That'll prevent that. And then we'll look at and decide what we're going to do with the existing seat and how we're going to put this back in here. The main point is that the springs are replaced now, so that's what the customer asked us to do. So we just need to get the cover, however poorly it was done, back onto this chair. So let's cut the foam and then I'll show you what we've got to deal with. So let's just move that out of the way for a second. So this is the bit of foam that I'm just going to use. So I'm just going to cut a slip of this off. I will mark it. We want a nice straight edge. And cut that and then attach that underneath that very front zip spring. Does help if you turn the plug on. Use some slightly longer staples and go straight through the foam. Like I said, it's just to act like a bump stop on your car suspension. So if somebody sits down heavy, they're not going to go, oh, the wood's underneath there. They'll get resistance from the foam, but it won't be as harsh as hitting the wood. So this is the cover that the other upholsterer made to put on the seat. Here's the existing piece of fabric that they went straight over the top of, and here's the bit of felt that was sat on top of the springs. So we need to put something on the springs that's going to support this bit of felt, because this fabric straight over the springs is just not going to work. Because this isn't really adding a lot of padding to it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a piece of 1-inch foam over the front edge of that seat. That'll give a lot more padding, a lot more stable, less lumps and bumps. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So that can go in the bin, and so can that. I'll just get a piece of 1-inch foam and get that cut to put on the seat. So there we have it, as if by magic. A piece of 1-inch foam we're going to put on the seat to go underneath this. So that's that cut. Put my foam saw away. I forget it's lost or damaged. Spin you around so we can see what we're doing. Right. So this literally was just placed on here. This piece of canvas fly went underneath the springs here. Over the front edge of the rail. And we're stapled down. So just for reference, if I was doing a replacement seat in this, I always like to put a full seat into them regardless of these springs. It just gives a better seat. So I would personally canvas over the top of these, then put the seat back on. But we can't do that because we're governed by what we've been left with by the previous upholsterer. So we're going to have to follow their lead with how they've done it. As you can see, the felt and so on that they had on there can easily fall through these springs, so that's why it's better it's foam. At least it's going to support itself a little bit better. But I just noticed that the stitchings come apart here on this cover, so I'm going to run this underneath the sewing machine, give it a pass just to make sure the stitching's okay, and then we'll put that back in. Right, that's that stitched back up again where it's come apart. Before I put that on, I need to put these flaps down that the previous upholsterer had put on. For whatever reason they thought they were doing them for. So we put them on, bring them round these legs. Again, I'm trying to put a bit of an alteration on how they've done it, just to try and finish it a bit better. Putting a bit of tension in the facing here so it doesn't look so much like there's a big void behind it, which there is. Same this side as well. This bit of fabric that gets pulled down, the welt that's pulled down between the springs, I've just folded that, give that a little bit of a pull, which is more than the original upholsterer had done. I'm going to cut off the salvage that they deemed fit to leave on. Let's see what their cuts are like around the arms. Yeah, they're not the best cuts, but they are just about work. I can't do much with them because they're in the wrong place, so I've got to try and make do with what we have there. So let's get that on. Do the same this side, pull this welt here on the facing down. A couple of staples in there. Trim off the salvage. And see what the cuts are like around this arm again. Right, so the cuts aren't quite deep enough this time. It creates wrinkles in it that don't need to be there. Let's try and get some of them out. Unfortunately, I've got to leave these with these raw edges and wonky edges. I can't take these bits out to get them under the overlocker and finish them off better without taking the arms off because of how they've upholstered it. So they'll have to stay on. They are basically covered by this seat though, so that's not too much of a problem. Now the tapes on the back edge that they've attached this seat with are going to need replacing because I've had to cut them to be able to remove the seat. So trim them off, and we'll put a fresh couple of tapes there. Okay. So that's the tapes on the back of the seat, back on there. So let's get back to putting this back together. Right. So, like I showed you before, we'll pull this piece of fabric underneath here. Over the edge of our foam. Put staples in there, hold that into position. Right, now we're going to put our foam on. You're going to have to cut the foam to go around the arm. Like so. Down side of the arm. Staple it about half an inch up from the bottom of the seat rail. And the edge there. Now, one of the issues that I'm going to have is with this cover that they've cut, because she didn't take the cover underneath the side rail. So I'm hoping that I can stretch it and get it underneath the side rail, but there's a good chance that I can't. So I'm going to have to staple it on the side of the rail, potentially, which isn't ideal. But so long as I fold the cover back on itself, which is more than what she did, or they did on one side, as I showed you earlier, we should be good. As always, sharp Stanley knife, people. You'll hurt yourself with a blunt one. Right. Let's see what we can do here. I don't like the way she's got this stitch line in the seat not parallel with the front of the arms. It doesn't make that particularly easy to get round there clean, but we should have just enough fabric, I think, to be able to fold it under. It's a bit tight on this side, which is the side that was short earlier, So perhaps she, or they, sorry, cut the fabric incorrectly to start with. Don't think I'm going to be able to get that down as far as I would like. Let's have a bit of a pull, a couple of staples in and see what we can do. So long as I can get enough to fold up, I'll be happy. There you go. Like I said earlier, it didn't even look like they'd pulled anything, any of the fabrics tight anyway. For whatever reason, I don't know. So at least on that side I've been able to pull it and staple it round, or back on itself. Do the same on this side, so try and fold it back on itself. You probably can't see from there, but I will show you in a second what I'm on about once I've got it on. It's got very warm in here today. The sun's made an appearance. This is a nice change. How long it's going to make an appearance for, I don't know. Right, let's put over on the centre. So we've got barely enough fabric to go over this front rail here. Got it on. A nice firm edge now. You sit down hard on that, you're not going to feel like you're breaking your spine. Let's get to the ends here. These are the cuts that she had made. Try and get the fabric back on utilising those cuts. Lay the chair on its back to do the next bit. So I'm now putting the folds on the front edge, and you'll recall they were on the side previously, which made them look like pockets from the front, which, well, just didn't look right. So we fold this fabric back now, put the pleats on the front edge where they should be, a couple of staples along this front edge on both sides. Pulling the pleats tight as we go. There's a lot of fabric underneath there. I personally would cut it off, but I'm reluctant to trim it off at this point. So let's get that on there. So there we have it. That's the seat back on. I've just got to nail around the legs. The front edge could be better, but the difficulty is that I'm trying to work with a fabric that's already been cut and damaged. So there's only so much you can do with what you're given. So it's gone on, that's the main thing, and it's got the repair done to it. I just staple this out of the way, I don't know why. So like I said, I'm just going to loose nail this. I don't know why she used a bit of strip nails around there. Certainly with the how she'd done it, how rough they were. Maybe she's just not capable of nailing. But anyway, we'll put some brass loose nails around the legs. Let me explain to you, just in case you've not seen any previous videos. These are loose nails. You can see that there. Focus, please. Okay, loose nails put in individually one by one. These are strip nails. Every fifth one, you have a nail that attaches it to the furniture. Well, admittedly, we wouldn't put a brass one in a nickel coloured one, but you get the idea. So let's get this nailed and the bottom on, and that's this part of this repair done. So normally along these legs you'll be looking at about 8 to 10 nails. There's 5, 6, 7, and the 8th one. Same on the other side. Unfortunately, the polish work is a bit damaged along there as well. But we do the best we can with what we got. So it's 4, 5, 6, 7, and the 8th one. It should be the same on the sides now, but as we haven't been able to take the sides underneath the job, we've got to go right the way back further, so it's going to be somewhere between 10 and 13, I would say. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There you go. At least we didn't land on 13 for the superstitious. Dear me. One, 2. That dearie me is for the state of this stitching along this bit of piping here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, well, 11. We've had to go 12 this side, so I'll flip it back over, put the 12th one in the other side just to keep it even. Just in case anybody's counting. Right, so that's the nails along there. any bit of salvage fabric, threads, we'll just trim them off now. But there shouldn't be many, and there isn't because we folded the fabric under. So there you go. So bottom cloth on this now, and then this is done. I'll come back to you when the bottom cloth's on it, and then we can get on with doing the replacement cushion fill. Right, so here we have the fill that was in the cushion, just to show you what's gone on here. This is the original fill, and then the last upholsterer has glued a piece of inch foam onto the top of it because it's not been thick enough, and then put the Lux Bond on the top. So not really a replacement fill in my opinion. It's not uncommon to have to glue foams together, and there's nothing wrong with that. But in this case, it's not particularly been executed very well, like anything else on this reupholstery of this particular chair. So here we have a new piece of foam. This is a very dense, firm foam, the customer's request, because this was so soft, but she now wants a really firm foam in it. That with the replacement tension springs and the work we've done on this seat is definitely going to feel a lot different to what it was. So I'm just going to mark this out using the existing cushion as a template. I will neaten the lines up. That's to give me a rough guide, but that is scrap. So let's get this marked out. So we've got the rough guide from the old cushion, so we're going to make sure we do a better job than that. So mark that there. And that pen's run out. Always running out of pens. We'll square it up, make sure everything is square. I suspect the old cushion wasn't particularly square. So the cushion tapers towards the back. So we're going to make sure that the tapers are equal. To be honest, it looks like the original fill wasn't that bad. We are going to Lux Bond this cushion as well and stockinette it. Again, that's not what was done on the other fill. But we're being paid to do this job correctly. So let's just get this cut and then we can Lux Bond it and stockinette it. You can cut foam with a bread knife. But you're not going to get as neat a cut unless it's with a foam saw. for these bits of foam that I'm cutting off, we try to recycle them, reuse them. Cut it into washing up sponges. Right, so that's the cushion cut. We just need to wrap it with the Lux Bond now and stockinette, and it's well on its way to being done. Here's me Lux Bond again. We tend to use a heavier weight Lux Bond, a 6 ounce. We're just going to Lux Bond the top, the bottom and the front edge and the back edge, I think. So we're just going to wrap this with a web fix adhesive. This can be purchased in tins, this sort of style of tin, sometimes referred to as carpet adhesive. People do use all sorts of adhesives to attach the foam. I've even seen people previously try to use hot melt glue, which, as you can imagine, once the hot melt glue goes off the fur, they wonder why they have all these odd lines appearing in their cushions. So advice would be to try and use the right tool for the right job, whether that's a glue or foam saw, whatever. There's nothing wrong with a bit of initiative if you don't have it though, but use a bit of So the Lux Bond is on. Let's just get that trimmed off and we'll get the stockinette on it. The stockinette serves a couple of purposes. First off, it helps hold the Lux Bond onto the cushion. Secondly, it acts as a barrier between the cushion fabric itself and the Lux Bond, because some fabrics will grip the Lux Bond, the polyester fibre, and pull it and tear it, and you end up with lumps underneath the cushion where this gets pulled off. So it acts as a barrier. It allows the fabric to move over the Lux Bond freely. You decide for yourself whether you think it is really necessary. To stockinette it, but we do it as a matter of course. So this is the stockinette, sometimes referred to as cheesecloth. Use it for polishing, all sorts of things, but this is a tube stockinette. This is a polyester one, so it can be closed with a cushion closure stockinette tool. Unfortunately, I don't have one, so we have to do it. I've done it for many years, and we have to glue it on. Some people cut slots into the sides of the cushions and tuck it in there and stuff like that. So the closed sides are going to be on the side. We don't want to put the closed edge on the front or the back because it could create lumps. It could be seen. So we're going to close the cushion on the side where it's not going to be seen. My mentor, Alfie, showed me how he did this many years ago, and I've done it the same way since. So I'll just cut it out, the excess, so just glue it down. Again, albeit I'm gluing this down, I am trying to glue it down without creating too many lumps and bumps. That involves me having to cut out some of it as I go. I'm gluing it down as I go. I've gone through this in more depth on previous specific videos, but you'll get the idea. There's more information about different types of fills and how we use them and recommendations in that video. So I'm just going to finish this up and I'll be back with the finished item. So that's the cushion with its stockinette on it, nice and tight, and Lux Bond. Give it a spray of silicone just to make it easier to get in to the cover. As to how well this is going to feel, well, I know there's nothing wrong with the feel. As for the cover, I can't account for that. We're having to work with what we have, and the cover's not particularly well produced, so hopefully it still fills out. When you fill in a cushion, try not to put pressure onto the zips, because the stitching can come apart, and especially with this unknown entity, I don't want to be having to create more work for myself by popping stitches or zips on this cushion. Trying to ensure that foam is right into the corners. I wouldn't be surprised if the stitching comes apart, having seen the stitching on the facings coming apart on the chair. I've no reason to presume that this is going to be any better. Turning the welt and the salvage to lay the right way. Right. Okay. So that's not feeling too bad. We've got to now try and close it up. The zip holds. There you go. Right, the borders don't look too bad now. It's a very firm cushion, which is what the customer wanted. Just checking we've got the sides filled. Okay. There you go. It's not the straightest, but I think that's down to the machining of the cover itself. So there you have it. Managed to get that new fill in there. So let's put this in the job and show you how it looks. So there we have it. New seat cushion fill and new seat platform, or old seat platform but with replacement springs, and just the cover pulled on better than it was originally. So I think that's a win. It's a shame about the chair, but the customer will be able to use it now at least for a few more years. I've no doubt that the cushion fill will last. So this one's a bit more in depth, in the sense I wanted to show you the quality of the workmanship on this from somebody else that's called themselves a professional upholsterer. That we've had to try and rectify part of it, the seat anyway, for the customer. Like I said, in this case, it wasn't a case of she didn't have the budget to have the job done properly. It was just unfortunate that the upholsterer she chose to do the job, by recommendation I might add, she was recommended by a local fabric supplier to go and see this person to have the upholstery done. So, you know, it takes to do a little bit of research and make sure that you are dealing with a professional. I can't say that she got what she paid for, because she paid good money for this. But anyway, we've done what we've been asked to do. I hope you found this video entertaining, and you perhaps learned a little bit more about the sort of things that come into the workshop, and perhaps you've gone away entertained for a few minutes. So we'll keep putting the vlogs out there to let you know what's going on in the workshop. Hope you enjoy it. Please like and subscribe, it means a lot to us, and we look forward to seeing you in the next one. Cheerio.